Hello. I wanted to show you a few of the paintings I've been working on and also show you how I am going to be painting over an old painting that just didn't work out. And this is going to be a short video because I need to prep this painting, but I wanted to show you that part of it. And then a little later today I'm going to paint it and I'll show you that too. All right, first of all, I think I showed you this last one. This is the last one I showed you in my last video. I was working on it, showing you how I paint palm trees. Actually, let me move it to the light so you can see it better as I talk about it. And since I'm doing this kind of one-handed, and since that one up there is dry, I'm just gonna put it on top there, just kind of balance it for a minute. Okay, so I don't know, there's not, without going into a huge, long, full video, I won't really explain a lot of it, other than just show you what I did, and you can see, compare this to last time when I was doing the palm trees, and hopefully you can see that a lot of the color that I was talking about in the last video did remain there, and I even pushed it further, going from some quite red things to some very almost straight from the tube, well actually literally straight from the tube blue, so quite a variety of color in there. Hopefully you're seeing that across there and see some of the handling of the palm trees. You can see that I added just some points of interest. Actually, in the photo, the reference that I was using, there was this line of, what do you call them, cafe lights that I thought added some, this human element to it. And since I was going with human element, I went ahead and put a hammock and humans in it. And that was the final decision. Because I was trying to show that there was life, but it was hard to show evidence of people without just showing people, and I eventually wanted to add, oops, there we go. And they're pretty small. Look at that, how small those are compared to my hand. I had to use a pretty small brush to do that, and it was quite difficult determining how dark to get them, because of course they need to be darker than the background here, which is enveloped more by the light in the atmosphere, and they're upright, so they need to be a little bit darker than this. I don't know. It was kind of a balancing act. I don't know that I did it quite precisely the way that the science of painting dictates, but I went back and forth until it felt right. I didn't want it to stand out too much. Maybe I could have made them just a shade darker, but anyway, there's the whole thing. I think it has a nice feel. So, sometimes the general feeling of the painting and the balance of the whole thing trumps the idea of doing it perfectly, scientifically perfect, the way that atmosphere really reacts to or the way that things react to the atmosphere and light. Anyway, just a fun experiment. I did similar things to these. To this landscape. It was a landscape before. I wanted to add that human element, so I put a couple of my kids in there, just playing in the surf. This one was primarily about the figure in the beginning, but then this one over here was about the landscape first, and then I decided there to put the people in there as well. That wasn't a decision I made on my own. The gallery had a lot to do with that. We just talked back and forth and kind of thought about what people would react to the most, so we put that human element in there. But, because people relate to humans, because we are humans. Of course we relate to landscapes because we see them all the time, but sometimes it's nice to stand out, since figures are my kind of like primary thing that I paint, or what I'm, I guess, known for in the galleries, at least. It's nice to keep that element going while painting these landscapes. Anyway, kind of an experiment. Hopefully people will like it, and I can afford to keep on painting. That's always the hope. Okay, so on to this. Let me put this away real quick. And I'll show you how I'm prepping this painting for a new painting. Just a quick preview of what the next video will be. I'm doing kind of a mashup between these two paintings of mine. These are just photographs of the paintings that I already did. And a very good friend of ours, who also owns a lot of my paintings, she wants a mashup of these. So I'm gonna show you later what I'm gonna do with those. But I have this this panel here that is it's prepped, it's painted on, and then the painting didn't work out, and so this large painting, or what used to be a large painting, has become a lot of other paintings, and I have one or two of these panels left. I just wanted to show you what I do to prep them for further work. Luckily, with this one, I decided that it wasn't going in the right place, and I've gotten better at this over the years. I don't have to wait till the painting is through, usually, to decide that it's not going in the right direction. I can kind of see those warning signs and decide ahead of time that it's not going to end up where I want it to go. Hey, baby girl. So anyway, so that's why this one didn't get very far before I decided that, and therefore it was wet still. I was really in just the kind of the beginning block-in stages, and therefore I was able to scrape it, and I should have probably, well, I don't want to say should have. Usually I would have wiped it, but it was such a large painting, it would have taken an hour just to wipe it with a paper towel, and I didn't want to be inundated with the smell of paint thinner. Even though mine is technically odorless, it's still volatile, and I don't want to be breathing too much of that at once. So I just scraped it with a palette knife down as thin as I could, and just set it aside to dry. Using the fat over lean principle, which is that more fat or more oil should be in succeeding layers, up until the very end. I've thought about why that is, and I usually paint in just one session. Usually it's all at once. But if I do paint additional layers over the original, I want to make that I don't want to use any thin passages without oiling them out, or fully saturating them with oil, so they'll stick. I don't want anything flaking or separating. And I have had bad experience where I've added too much oil over previously dry paint, and it actually has created a crackle effect. So if you're wanting to to do that in your paintings, just use a little bit too much oil over in succeeding layers. But there's another principle in that, which is that that the oil in your oil paint, or if you're painting acrylic, it's the acrylic binder in there. It's really the glue that's holding the particles of color, pigment, together. So with the idea that it's glue, but I don't want to overdo it. That's a long explanation, but I feel like it's helpful to give you an explanation of why I do things rather than just tell you to do things. I want you to think about it and know why I've thought about it, and hopefully make your own decisions rather than just do what I say. But I'm essentially just using a thin layer of oil here. This is just light refined linseed oil, which basically means it's cleaner than your typical hardware store linseed oil, a little bit more refined. Just a little bit. And I am actually going to mix that a little bit with, sorry, I kind of just accidentally did that without showing you. All I did is just drop a few drops of that on there. And then I'm going to just dip my brush into some thinner, and I'm just mixing it around. In essence, I'm creating a clear oil paint here. And I put a few drops there, 5 or 6 drops, and it's dripping down here. So I'm just trying to get all that mixed in. By the way, I did do a different version of this painting that turned out great. It's still only like 98% done, so not quite ready to reveal. Maybe I'll do a video about how I finish up the last 2% of that one. But I did it bigger, and I did it better, and I used my daughter as a model instead of the hired model, and anyway, changed a few things. Get that just a little bit thinner so it's easier to spread around. But I only used, for this 16 by 20 board, I only used, like I said, 5 or 6 drops of oil, linseed oil. And then just a little bit of paper towel. And I'm just going to try to hit every part of this. And this paper towel is going to clean it, clean dust off of it that may have accumulated. It's going to soak up that oil and thinner mixture. So really, it's just the thinnest little layer of thinned down oil on here. I don't want to get into danger of cracking it, or like creating that crackle pattern. That's not what I'm wanting. All I want is just enough that I can see a little bit of like reflection on it. You know, going from, hopefully you can see that from this angle. Just getting the tiniest little layer on this. Barely hitting it. And I know that my paper towel is taking most of this off, but it's just putting a tiny bit on there. And I can see that when I look at the reflection. And I do that same thing when I'm varnishing a painting. Oftentimes I'll turn off all the lights in the room except for one, maybe a spotlight or something, and look at it at an angle so I don't miss any spots. If I don't do that, usually I do miss a little spot. But when you use reflections to aid your vision of it, you can see it better. Anyway, that's all I do. So now looks like it's all shiny. So I'm going to let that sit for just a couple hours. I don't want it to dry all the way. Otherwise, if I do that, I'm back to the same like dry problem that it was before. I want that glue to be that glue, using quotes, that oil, to be just a little tiny bit cured, but not very much. And since it is so extremely thin, it won't take very long at all. Hopefully 2 hours isn't too long, but I've got to go to a dental appointment, which is why I did it right now. So just wanted you to see that, and I'll come back with the next video. And in the meantime, if you see this before I get back and make the next video, ask me any questions you want, and I'll try to address them. Because I know I'm not great at committing to making multiple videos like in a row, because I don't know, I just get caught up in the work of it and sort of just forget to turn on the camera. But this one I will, definitely. And yeah, so I'll be making that video soon. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful, and ultimately it'll save you a few bucks. But really, I think it's a better canvas now, a better ground, because it does actually have some oil on it. It makes it better, thicker, stronger. Yeah. So it's really not a money-saving thing. It actually is a better product, but it only happens sometimes when you happen to mess up. Anyway. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.